Okay, welcome back, Delta Baseball. So the next thing I want to teach, and this is kind of jumping out of order a little bit, but the next thing I want to work on is teaching the basic mechanics of the pitching windup. So in our league, you start pitching at basically age 9, so that's the first year that you're going to enter minor league. And the thing that we notice is really the first half of the season is just spent walking kids, hitting kids, throwing wild pitches. And that's pretty natural for the first time a kid picks up a ball and figures out if he or she can pitch. So my aim is that hopefully I can teach a couple things about mechanics so that if you see this video before you start pitching, you can work on this stuff at home. And I know it's not as fun as getting up on a mound and trying to strike somebody out, but if you've got your mechanics down and your balance, that's 3/4 of the battle right there. Then you just pick up the ball and make it go in the strike zone. But if your basics or your building blocks are there, then you're going to have a lot more success. So let's talk about the windup first. I may or may not have always been the best pitcher, but I always knew I had a pretty good windup. It was pretty sound. I had good balance, things like that, and I always knew what I was doing. So this little white rectangle is called the pitching rubber. We always start with our heels on the rubber if we're going to do a windup. So there's two ways that you can pitch. You can do a windup, or you can pitch from the stretch. When you pitch from the stretch, you want the side of your foot kind of pressing against that rubber. You don't really want to be up on top of the rubber because you don't have anything to push off of. You want to dig in front of that mound and then push off that rubber. So when you start with a windup though, I recommend a windup when you're in Little League because you can get some momentum built up. So when I start with a windup, the first thing I do is, I'm a lefty, so I like to start on the left side of the mound. If you're a righty, you can start on the right or wherever you feel comfortable. I put my heels on the rubber, my toes are kind of angled down in front of the rubber. And I take the first step that's called a rocker step. So that's where I take my right foot because I'm lefty. If you're a righty, you're going to take your left foot back. And you're going to take a small step back and to the side. It's nothing crazy, and I certainly don't want to see people taking a big step straight back and falling off the mound. So this is only a small step to the side, and the reason we're doing that is because that's setting us up for the next step, which is called our pivot. So we take a rocker step, and then we turn this. For most righties, it's going to be your right leg. I'm lefty, so it's your left leg. We pivot that foot, and now here we are. We're basically in the stretch. I like to lift my leg right here. And so this is a position where you're going to see that I'm comfortable. I can stay here almost all day. I can bring my leg down, up. I can bring it down and out. I can bring it back up. As a pitcher, you're going to be much more successful if you have balance right here. You should be able to stay like this all day long. So this is where we'll work in some drills, and I'll have Luke come in and we'll show you how to do some of these drills. But when you turn that foot in the pivot step, you're going to lift your leg here. You're going to keep this leg pretty straight, maybe a little bend in it, and then you're going to bring that leg down first. Most kids will see they like to take this leg and then just immediately open up and step toward the home plate. And that's an absolute loss of power immediately. If you open up your body, you lose your power immediately. So once we start here, we take a rocker step, we pivot, get that foot against the rubber, we lift our leg here, and we're balanced. You could practically push me, I won't fall over. Then my leg comes down, and as my leg comes down, my hands start to come down like this. And then my next move, after I go all the way down, almost touching the floor, but not touching the floor, is to move that leg out. And you notice that I'm kind of sinking into that back leg as I do that. So it's here, I'm not bringing my whole body up, I'm just bringing my leg up. And then down, and then out, my hands start to come down. And then as I'm here, I'm in a good athletic position, and I'm in this kind of X position where I've got my glove up here, and I'm looking down my sight at my target, and I've got my arm up back here, my ball is facing backward, and then I'm going to take a big push off this leg, and that's where you're going to really kind of push off that butt cheek, really push hard, and then that's where this torso movement is going to come in. So you're here, take a big step like this, and then we're going to rotate that body through, and we're going to bring this arm out here like this, pull this glove arm in. We're going to release our ball up here, kind of outside our ear, just in front of our head. Not back here, not way out here, right here. Release that ball, and then we're going to push off that back foot. That foot's going to come up in the air like this, and we're going to end up ready to field like this. So when we look at that windup all together, it should look like this. Rocker step, I like to throw my hands over my head. I just think it looks cool. Pivot, leg lift. Bring the leg down first. Don't open up like this. Down, out, push off that back leg. Bring your torso around. Release the ball here as you're pressing off, and then end up like this. So that's the wind up.